So before the midterm elections, Republicans were lockstep and barrel with Donald Trump. Candace Owens was one of those people that was lockstep and barrel with Donald Trump. She even did an interview with Donald Trump where this exchange took place.
We see the corruption, right? Yeah. It doesn't seem like anybody ever pays for the corruption.
Yeah.
And right now we're seeing corruption live, even in terms of big pharma, which is a huge topic on the minds of mothers, especially. You're seeing what's happening at these school board meetings. Where do you stand on these vaccine mandates? And obviously, I know that you are pro-vaccine. Obviously, you did everying you could to get this vaccine out. I know where you stand on the vaccine.
It was one of the greatest achievements. We did it in less than 9 months.
To be able to do that.
Yeah,
but now it's taken a twist, right? It's gotten, now we went from this is a good thing and people should have this option to military men, you're going to have to resign because you're not getting this vaccine. Where do you stand on that?
Well, I stand on, forget about the mandates, that people have to have their freedom. But at the same time, the vaccine is one of the greatest achievements of mankind. We would have had in 1917, remember the Spanish flu, killed perhaps 100 million people. Actually, it ended the First World War because the soldiers were so, a lot of people don't know that. The soldiers got so sick. It was a terrible thing. There were no vaccines. There was no anything. I came up with a vaccine, with 3 vaccines. All are very, very good. Came up with 3 of them in less than 9 months. It was supposed to take 5 to 12 years.
And yet more people have died under COVID this year, by the way, under Joe Biden, than under you. And more people took the vaccine this year. So people are questioning how...
Well, no, the vaccine worked, but some people aren't taking it. The ones that get very sick and go to the hospital are the ones that don't take the vaccine. But it's still their choice. And if you take the vaccine, you're protected. Look, the results of the vaccine are very good. And if you do get it, it's a very minor form. People aren't dying when they take the vaccine.
What about the masking of...
As a result of that exchange, Donald Trump no longer wanted to have anything to do with Candace Owens. And now, after the midterms, this is what Candace has to say about Donald Trump.
Trump actually got upset with me because, and here's the great irony, the richest irony, the Daily Beast ran a headline regarding that live Instagram that you just heard from me. And the headline was, Candace Owens says Trump is pro-vax because he's too old to understand the internet. I never once called Trump too old. I never once said that Trump could not understand the internet. And yet somehow he got that information and believed it to be true. He thought that I said that he was too old and that he couldn't understand the internet and did not quite get the information that actually what I was saying was a defense of him so that his supporters would still believe in him. Not only was he just mad, by the way, he then, during a golf session with some mutual friends of ours, had a person next to him who was egging this on, saying to Trump, and I know this because, again, this is a mutual friend, aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? Aren't you mad at Candace? And eventually he was like, yeah, I'm so mad at Candace. I'm so mad at Candace. And this got back to me that he was upset with me, that he was angry at me. And the next time that I saw him, he was quite rude to me. He was actually rude to me. I'm telling you this personal story because I think it is something that made me, for the first time, question him as a person. So you have an individual that spent years defending you, right? And that individual gave you a completely kind and fair interview. You said something yourself that your base didn't like, and you somehow transformed that into something that I did wrong. That's unacceptable. That is not being a leader. That is not owning things that you did wrong. That is not owning that you misunderstood something about your base. That's not growing. That's not developing. In fact, he should have tried to understand why the base was so upset with him, which would have led to the fact that his base is not pro-COVID vaccine. It's that simple. I understood that. I could have told him that. But at that moment, I realized that he's not listening. Who is this guy next to him trying to egg him on to be angry at me for trying to defend him, to say that he's not a shill, to say, no, actually, I think that he genuinely does support the vaccines. He did genuinely support the vaccines. So all of this going on made me, again, question him if he was becoming too angry, which is to say that when Trump went into the election in 2016, he was having fun. Right? He was naming people, giving them fun names, enjoying the base, having a good time. I would even say in 2020, you could feel the energy. It was electric. I think after the 2020 election and because of the shock of all the things that happened and the answers that we never really feel that we got, this like sinking realization that we might be actually losing our country. I think that it pushed him into an angry space where he doesn't trust anybody, where he doesn't listen to anybody, where he's almost likely to believe that everybody's trying to turn their back on him and stab him in the back. And again, I don't believe that that's leadership, but I never spoke on that because I thought to myself, I think that that's a lot of ego that Trump is having right now, but maybe I'm being egotistical. Maybe me even speaking out about this is me being offended and butthurt that he was so rude to me. He was so rude to me on the basis of what he said. But after time, I've realized that no, these discussions that everybody is having, these conservative influencers are having behind Trump's back should be also had with the public as well. You have a right to know that. You have a right to take that information and judge it as you will. And to question whether or not there has been a change in Trump. How could there not be? How could you suffer a defeat and know in your heart that a lot of things that happened regarding that defeat were wrong, even if you don't believe that what happened in Maricopa County during the election was fishy? I do personally believe that. You at least believe that the Hunter Biden laptop suppression led to different results in the election. Of course it did. Many people said that if they had known that that laptop was real, they would have voted differently. So he has every right to be angry. But if you stay at a place of anger, right, you are ignoring everything that is going on around you. You're no longer looking and assessing things in the way that you should be assessing them because you're holding on to this almost vengeful spirit, right? That is the question that I've had with Trump. Is he going to get over the trauma of the election of 2020 and begin to paint a vision for 2024? What is his vision for 2024? Is it, I'm back? Because that's not a vision to me. It needs to be more than I'm back, right? And I think that what's happening behind closed doors, people believing that they're not sure who he's listening to. Maybe there's a paranoia potentially that's setting in, that he believes that his friends, now me, oh my God, how could you say I was too old? I read the headline on the Daily Beast. That's what she said. I didn't say that, right? If you thought I said that, you should have been a decent human being. You should have picked up the phone and you should have called me, right? Because that's what I would have done. I would have reached out to you to clarify things. That's what it means to be a person. That's what it means to be a friend. That's what it means to be a colleague, not even a friend. What it means to be a colleague is to actually have relationships with people, to honor the relationships that you have with people that don't take place in the public sphere. We didn't do any of those things. And I think that the MAGA movement is reflecting Trump. I think there is a trepidation that I'm sensing in Trump. And I think that that trepidation is evidenced by him taking a random swing at DeSantis last week. I don't think it was helpful, even though DeSantis won Florida handily. He's not running against DeSantis right now, right? DeSantis is running for governor. I know Trump voted for him and all of that's great. Why take a random swing, right? I think the base is feeling that trepidation. They're not sure who to listen to on endorsements. Do you listen to DeSantis? Do you listen to Trump? Or do we listen to these influencers? Are these influencers listening to DeSantis? Are these influencers listening to Trump? They're wondering about what the leadership looks like. And I think that I am not at all under any impression that Trump can't win in 2024. No. What I am saying is that Trump needs to take a good look in the mirror, and he needs to take a good look in the room, and he needs to read the room accurately. He needs to take a look at those that are around him that are inspiring this paranoia and making him believe that everyone's out to get him, including his friends. And he needs to exercise a tiny bit more humility when he gets something wrong. Trump is not perfect. I'm not perfect. I get things wrong. I edit. I say, thank you guys for bringing me this new information. I hadn't realized that. And there's still a period where he could transform. But I think the results of last night's election, which are still coming in, show that we aren't sure, that he's not sure, and therefore we aren't sure. And that's all I have to say about that.
My question is, now that Donald Trump is done with her, what will the new grift be?